Pride 3 took place on June 24th, 1998 at the Nippon Budokan in Tokyo, Japan. We are coming off the back of one of my least favourite events of all time, okay, Pride 2. Let's see if they can redeem themselves after that last abomination. Thankfully, Stephen Quadros and Bash Rutten are back on commentary. I don't know what I would do without them. Genuinely. We open up with a short intro, show some highlights of our first two fighters because, I mean, as always here with Pride, we are straight into the action. No breakdown from commentary or a graphic to tell you what the rules are, how to win, who will be in here tonight. Literally nothing, just straight into the first fight. There was no apology for the last event, by the way. I feel as though we were owed that. Like, we didn't get it. I was looking for some sort of accountability and grovelling from the promotion, but no, we didn't get anything. Nothing. They have absolutely no remorse for their crimes. Our first fight, Daijiro Matsui versus Akira Shoji. 3 events in a row now for Shoji. He must be friends with the promoter. And, okay, this fight happened, this event, as you heard, June 1998. That's where we are in the timeline. I'm recording this on March 28th, 2026. 28 years after the fact. Akira Shoji just had a fight about 2 weeks ago on March 15th. He's 52 years old. He did not win. He in fact lost. But he's up against Matsui here 28 years ago. And no contact made for the first, minute. Because not only do we not know the rules, we don't know the fucking time either. We still don't have a clock in the corner. I don't think we ever get one. A takedown attempt, stuffed. A nice 1-2 here from Shoji. Shoji's in the purple and orange, by the way, and Matsui's in the black. Matsui is at one point hanging halfway out of the ring. The referees do nothing. Don't stop the action and reset in the middle. Shoji just keeps punching him whilst, again, he's hanging out of the ring. That's one rule that we do know because we've at least seen it be implemented, where if fighters are sometimes even close to the ropes, never mind in the ropes, the fight gets restarted in the middle. You know, multiple referees will come in and drag them into the middle, and then we restart from there. Quadros is saying that this is comical, and he is right, but then again, if you're watching this for the first time, you don't know the fucking rules. So you just think, oh yeah, you can just do that then? Like, nobody told us like that they're doing anything wrong or that we restart. Just, again, nothing. So at the start, we're sitting in sprawl for a minute, whole lot of that in this fight, and not really much else to comment on in terms of action. Shoji gets a takedown into half guard, into mount. Matsui gives up the back. Shoji looks for the chin, but Matsui lifts his hips up. Shoji just slides off the back, but he gets back to the feet before Matsui lands a couple of nice soccer kicks, and back to the feet, and then back to the ground again. Shoji on top after another takedown. Quadros and Bass are gushing about the first round on commentary. Like, I'm not as excited about this as they are, probably because after Pride 2 I just went into this with the mindset of, okay, this is going to be shit again, so I wasn't really too hyped, but it gets better towards the end, I suppose. But again, the round ends, nothing much going on. I don't even think there's judges here to score this, so this isn't like UFC. I know later on judges would score the fight based on the entirety of the fight and not a round by round breakdown, but in case anybody cares, I think Shoji won round 1, 2, 3 and 4. We have 4 rounds of this. So round 2 starts. Shoji immediately takes down Matsui, instantly under the ropes, and now we have to move them back into the centre. So we do it this time, but not when, you know, Matsui's hanging on the ropes getting abused. No real ground game here. It's hardly a grappling clinic. Like, Matsui ends up, well, I mean, we're back on the feet here, right? And Matsui shoots on Shoji and sprawls. He must have done this shit about 20 times in the fight, and I think he landed 1 takedown. I'm not joking. Every single time he would shoot in, he would get sprawled on. But this is only the round 2 sprawling, right? Which again was constant. But from the sprawl, Shoji takes the back. A nice roll from Matsui, a nice sweep, big reaction from Bashrutin, who's very impressed. I actually was as well. It's probably the best piece of groundwork on the night. I did not expect that at all. Shoji is able to kick off Matsui before the two then trade and have another standoff. Matsui shoots, gets sprawled on again. Shoji takes the back, doesn't try to get hooks in here, just is content to body lock Matsui before finally landing some ground and pound. And as soon as there's some action, the referee has to stop the fight and we get moved back to the centre. We go back to the ropes and Matsui again just hanging out of the ropes. Referees don't reset the fight, they just let it go on. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? Don't let the rules get in the way of a fair fight. And we're told the rules about being near the ropes or in the ropes. And then we see them enforced sometimes when the fighter's just near the ropes. But that's twice now Matsui's been hanging out of the ring. We don't reset the fight. And then immediately when we do, Shoji just closes out round 2 on top. Into round 3, I think these guys are just tired at this point from the pace set in round 1 and 2. You could see it slow down towards the end of round 2, but with a minute left in round 3, Shoji looks to take the back and get the hooks in, but Matsui has some good defence on the ground, manages to see out the rest of it without any drama. This has been 30 minutes, by the way. Each round is 10 minutes, and I've sat through some bullshit 30-minute fights over the course of these retro reviews, but this has probably been the best of the long fights I've seen. Not the best fight per se, but in terms of these ridiculously long matchups, this hasn't been as atrocious as I might be making it sound, okay? Reliving it now, I might have just been cautious at the time first watching it. But Matsui should really stop shooting takedowns. He gets sprawled on every single time, and he keeps doing it. And by the way, it only took, 3.5 rounds, over half an hour, for Shoji to land any knees after sprawling. The two stand back up, we have a stalemate, we throw wildly, land nothing, and Matsui ends up getting sprawled on again. Shoji ends up landing an illegal knee to the back of the head, amongst other legal strikes, with about 3 minutes left, and if there were judges here, Shoji would get the decision, right? But towards the end of the fight, Shoji sprawls on Matsui again, and I'm just ready for it to be over at this point. And as I say that, the two go flying out of the ring just before the bell, and the fight ends in a draw. 40 fucking minutes, right? You know what, we'll get to it at the recap at the end. Next up, we have Daiju Takase. See these pronunciations? I've just got them down. Daiju Takase versus Emmanuel Yarbrough, who is just humongous. Over 600 pounds, 272 kg, or over 42 stone. Jesus Christ. Yarbrough was at UFC 3, the reviews on the channel, one of my favourite events, and we're just going to call him EY. He faced Keith Hackney, where he was subsequently finished by Keith Hackney, and this fight with Takase starts with Takase just running away from him. The entire fucking first round is just Takase sidestepping, running, at some points doing fucking forward rolls just to evade EY and just try and make him move and tire him out. Tiring him out, by the way, is him walking around the ring. Who thinks, right, that it's a good idea for Yarbrough here to compete in any physical endeavour, right? The guy can barely fucking move. This is just uncomfortable to watch, right? This guy is so fat, he can barely move. They have him in here, and this thing, again, goes over a round with no contact. It's just Takase running circles around him for 10 fucking minutes, right? Commentary's trying to say they've never seen someone this big in their life before. I don't even think I've seen someone 600 fucking pounds. Takase's graphic says he was 209. Quadros said he was 169, so you can believe whatever you want. He looks tiny next to Yarbrough. And I've made fun of blobby fighters before, right? I'm not above that, and neither are you, okay? Like, Scott Ferozzo, I made fun of him a little bit at one point, the odd comment here and there. But Scott Ferozzo could move. He was fat, but weirdly athletic. EY is just morbidly obese. And there's no humour in that, right? The guy needs fucking help. He has like 5-second bursts of energy at the start of the rounds and then becomes immobile. The fight gets stopped, right? And commentary doesn't know why. Bas Rutten, I swear to God, says, does this guy need oxygen? I fucking burst out laughing. No, he doesn't, right? The referee is giving Takasi a yellow card, which is like a warning for stalling, basically. So he can't just keep running round in a circle, avoiding any and all contact whatsoever. And so immediately, he then comes back after the restart and completely overcorrects, overreacts, and then shoots on Yarbrough like a fucking idiot. EY ends up just flattening him, right? Just literally falls on top of him. And at this point, Quadros cannot stop screaming, this is like Jaws, this is like Jaws, where Robert Shaw is sliding off the boat to the shark, right? What the actual fuck is going on? Takasi is in a fight for his life, and this is like a horror movie. These are direct quotes, by the way. I swear to God, Yarbrough can't even get back up if he wanted to, right? Takasi manages to slip out from underneath him. He doesn't land strikes. Takasi lands some strikes, and Yarbrough taps out. Good fucking grief. Next up, we have Kazushi Sakuraba versus Carlos Newton. Now, Carlos was at the last UFC event and was pretty fucking good, by the way. Bas Rutten ends up handing them each a bouquet of flowers and then makes a speech where he announces that he will be fighting against Randy Couture for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. So we have that to look forward to, or at least some variation of that. Bas Rutten will be joining us at UFC 18, but before that we have UFC 17.5 in Brazil. That review will be out first. Bas Rutten also says that he's going to fight Rickson Gracie, and we all know that Rickson doesn't want any of that, so you can guess if that fight happens or not. But we have Carlos Newton, who impressed at UFC 17. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was unfortunate to lose to Dan Henderson. I think if we were grading that on the modern curve, he would have beat Dan Henderson. But here, Sakuraba won at Pride 2 in a pretty boring affair. But we get a really fast start. Sakuraba almost gets a quick finish with the armbar. Some really nice transitions, but Newton's able to escape. Newton's still really young, 21 years old. But both guys are pretty inexperienced. At this point in 1998, Sakuraba again tries another armbar. These two are moving like liquid, right, in the early stages of this fight. This is fucking liquid graps. Quadros says that this is the most technical grappling we've seen in Pride. I would agree. And they're going at a pace and actually looking for a finish, which is the actual entertaining thing, the actual important thing. Grappling can be entertaining if it is like this. We start to slow down a little bit towards the end of the second, but again, some nice grappling. A lot of these kind of matches, typically those featuring the name Gracie, I've shit on them, but these two are actually entertaining, actually going for a finish. But there are points where Newton is on back mount and you can throw hands, by the way. This is an MMA fight. But I'm not even going to go there, because as far as grappling goes, this was pretty fucking good. If you are a grappling fan, I would recommend that you watch this match up between these two. Sakuraba gets razor close to another armbar. This guy only seems to be going for arm locks, but Newton rolls out, really impressive. Sakuraba has been on the front foot in terms of offensive grappling, but Newton's really held his own here on the defensive work, and as soon as I say that, Newton gets fucking subbed with a knee bar. Fuck, man. As soon as I said Sakuraba only ever looks for the arm and Newton's shown good defence, the fight was over immediately. Towards the end, you were looking at Newton like, here, you can strike and you can probably win this, but I'll let it go. In terms of grappling, this was pretty good. Gary Goodridge up against Amir Ranavardi And Goodridge basically just dominates this guy for 7 minutes. Goodridge was supposed to fight Chemo. That would have been a good fight, right? I'd have liked to have seen that. If Pride can keep doing this, where they just deliver the fights that UFC couldn't give us in those tournaments. But Chemo is instead replaced by Amir, who's the cornerman for Kyle Sturgeon, who's in our main event. He got asked the day before, here, do you want this fight? And he took it. Amir tried the judo throw, Goodridge ends up on top and lands some bombs, then just sits in half guard. Don't we always just resort to that? And I had to look this up, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Quadros and Bass record commentary in post, right? They're not there live, and I think that Quadros actually gave the result away of this fight on commentary. So Amir said that he phoned Quadros, who worked at some fucking kickboxing magazine, I can't remember what it was called, and told him that he took a fight with Gary Goodridge. He called him after the fight and told him that he'd lost. From where I was looking, from what I could find, this was the only time that they'd fought. And the silence after he said that, I swear to God, you have to hear it. It was as though he realised what he was saying as he was saying it. But he'd already started the sentence, so he had to then finish the story in the awkward silence after he said that Amir had lost. Just drew more attention to what I think he'd just done. So there was a knee bar attempt from Amir, which commentary kind of gasses up to be something. It was never really putting Goodridge in any trouble. He easily escapes. Goodridge then ends up on top of Amir, and Amir starts striking from the bottom, just these kind of soft punches. Goodridge just starts screaming in his face, and I don't mean like screaming angrily in his face, but you know how Ric Flair goes, woo, right? He was doing that shit right in his fucking face, right? Like, that's what he was doing before landing some of the most hellacious ground and pound I have ever heard. Not even seen. Heard. It was absolutely brutal. Amir's head bouncing off the canvas. It was bad enough watching it. It sounded worse somehow. Like, it sounded somehow worse than it looked. But this was a good win for Gary Goodridge. I'm happy he's here in Pride and winning, because he is entertaining, right? I get in UFC, he would sort of gas out and cardio would get the best of him. He would be really good for maybe a fight or, you know, the first half of a long fight, and then he would gas out. I'm happy he's here in Pride and winning, because I like Goodridge. Next up, we have Mark Kerr versus Pedro Otavio. Mark Kerr is back after the last disgrace at Pride 2, which, to be fair to him, was actually not his fault, and he couldn't really do anything about his opponent. If you want to learn more about that, go and watch the Pride 2 review. I'll link it at the end of the video. The fight starts, Mark Kerr gets the takedown on Otavio, because of course he does, and Mark Kerr gets the Kimura and the submission win. An instant protest from Otavio, who says he didn't tap. Otavio literally screamed like he'd been shot. Okay, Kerr had the Kimura locked up. Okay, absolutely zero controversy whatsoever. Otavio just threw a tantrum because he got beat. See, when you scream like that, that is a verbal submission. The fight is over. Absolutely no complaints. A very impressive win for Mark Kerr. He literally beat Otavio into a mental breakdown. Otavio is such a pussy. Next up, our main event, we have Nobuhiko Takada versus Kyle Sturgeon. Takada, we seen at Pride 1. He lost to Hickson Gracie. And he is, he's in full pro wrestling mode here. Kyle Sturgeon throws a couple of high kicks. Takada sells them as though he's in a WWE match. He completely overreacts as though it's pro wrestling. What the fuck is going on? Sturgeon throws another one. Comical overselling here. Sturgeon gets a takedown and into guard before Takada quickly just gets back to the feet. Takes Sturgeon right back down. Now he's in guard, gets the heel hook and the win. This was fixed as fuck. Like, from the jump, you knew it. See, as soon as Sturgeon threw that high kick, and you seen Takada trip, stumble and fall over his own feet and act surprised when he get hit with it, you knew that this was fucking rigged. Takada, obviously, as a wrestler, pro wrestler that is, not amateur, and this felt very much like, I'll make you look good and then I'll beat you, right? Very pro wrestling. If I was putting money on it, I would say that it was fixed. But that's our main event, folks. Quadros and Rutan sign off, Domo Arigato and Sayonara, and that draws Pride 3 to a close. So let's recap this. Was this better than Pride 2? Yes. It would be impossible for it not to be. Was this the best Pride event so far? Also, yes. I don't know why. There's something about threes. There's something about the trilogy. The third one is always the best. And, you know, that's whether that's Pride or UFC. Third one is always the best one. The first fight, 40-minute draw. There's no way to dress that up, right? It just is what it is. But I would rather get that out the way first. I think it actually benefited from being first, because I would rather get it out the way then and then have the rest of the card be better. And this is going to sound so ridiculous, but as far as a 40-minute fight goes, it wasn't terrible, right? I'm never going to watch it again, but it wasn't obscene. Now, what was obscene was Yarbrough versus Takase. Who the fuck let Yarbrough in the ring? How did he get in the ring? Just a couple of questions. Not good. If you're into the freak show spectacle, then sure, watch it. If you want to just look at the size of Yarbrough. But I never need to see anything like this again. And I know that this is something that Pride does, where they just get the freak show thing. It's just what they do. I don't need to see that. Next, we had Sakuraba and Newton. That was good. Absolutely zero striking, which just must be a thing in Sakuraba fights, where it's like, okay, neither of us need to get brain damage tonight. Let's just grapple to a finish. And the opponent's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because that's 2 fights in a row now where the opponent could have just lay into him whilst in back mount. And neither of them done it. But as far as a grappling match goes, pretty good, not going to lie. Not bad at all. Gary Goodridge, again, delivers the violence. A nice knockout. Some really funny taunting. I'm not going to do the woo again, but an absolutely hellacious KO. I think he could have won it faster than 7 minutes and also avoided the submission scare, but overall, pretty good performance. I'm impressed with Goodridge. I feel as though he's gotten better in his last few performances since leaving UFC, just with more experience, because obviously when he went there, he only had like fucking arm wrestling experience, so now he's actually had more fights. You can see he has developed. Mark Kerr broke Otavio, almost literally. Probably should have done literally. Locked in that Kimura, could have ripped his arm off and beat him with it. Otavio screams like a bitch, and then gets up, pretends that he didn't, then throws his knee pads into the crowd and storms off like a child. Nice win for Mark Kerr, completely broke this guy's spirit and sent him into a mental breakdown. So good for Mark Kerr. And finally, the main event was just ridiculous. Takada beat Sturgeon, what do you want me to say? It was absolutely fixed. Almost certainly fixed, right? From the comedic reactions to the high kicks, exaggerated to the absolute maximum. And then just the easy finish, Bash Rutan at the end saying that Sturgeon is even defending the heel hook the wrong way, just making it worse for himself. Never rule out that fighters are just completely incompetent, because they can be. But, like, I'm being serious, genuinely never rule out their stupidity. But this was fixed, 100%. So overall, more hits than misses. Definitely some good value in the middle of the card. Mark Kerr, Gary Goodridge, Sakuraba and Newton. If you're into the freak show spectacle, then they had that. But even the first 2 rounds of the opener were not bad. It just starts to drag a little after that, as you would think 40 fucking minutes tends to. And these rounds are just so long. But not a bad fight. All in all, less said about the main event, the better. But that's it for Pride 3. The next retro review will be Pride 4. That happened on October 11th, before we head to Brazil for UFC 17.5 on the 16th of October. But as for Pride 4, Rickson Gracie is back. Oh joy, oh bliss. Mark Kerr also back, Sakuraba, Marco Huas, and a fight I am actually looking forward to more than anything else. We have the return of Gary Goodridge taking on the debuting Igor Vovchanchyn. This will be Igor's first appearance on Pride, but most importantly on this retro review series. So we have that to look forward to in the next review as we close out 1998 in Pride. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notification bells to stay up to date with the content as it drops. We will follow up on Pride 4 with Pride 5 because they have done enough to redeem themselves for now. But make sure to like this video, comment your own thoughts below on your memories of watching Pride, maybe this event, maybe this review. Did I miss some information or current events at the time? I've never gone this far back into Pride, so I'm learning on the job as I go here, so I'm counting on you guys to help me out with that and keep me right. Be sure to share with a friend who either loves Pride, or maybe you're trying to get someone into Pride, or maybe just the history of the sport. The playlist is up on the channel for both Pride and UFC retro reviews. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.